Welcome to the First Property Buyer Show, your go-to podcast for expert advice, market insights, and real-life stories to help you buy your first home with confidence.
Hello and welcome to the First Property Buyer Show. I'm Emily Lauer, journalist here at Momentum Media, and today we've got kind of a special episode. While I'm usually the one interviewing our guest on, all the aspects around buying your first property, well, we're going to switch things around with our guest and my colleague, Liam Garman, managing editor here at Momentum Media.
Guest host, I guess.
Guest host, yeah. Look, the reason why we are switching gears today is, well, because I finally bought my first property.
You completed the journey that you started. When was the first episode of this podcast? Were we 6-7 months ago?
Yeah, I think we released in April, but we recorded the first one in March.
Yeah.
Something like this.
So about half a year.
Yes.
And over the last half year, you've had, now I've been watching from a distance, but you've had some pretty fantastic guests that have joined you on this journey. You've had everything from buyer's agents teaching you negotiation skills to mortgage brokers, everything in between. And your goal to start off with was, going really from the basics. Upon reflection, over the last 6 months, you've had so many guests come on. What were some things that people have told you throughout your journey that you're like, whoa, I did not know that?
Oh, I don't even know where to start. Like almost every single guest taught me something. And that's why we launched that podcast in. It was really a learning experience and really taking it from a first home buyer's perspective. So the question that I asked my guests were questions I had zero answers to. I would say that I've got some really great takeaway from every guest we've had on this pod, including some, that really helped me throughout that journey. And helped me get that property. Negotiation skills. The buyer's agent that came in to teach us negotiation skills. Yeah.
Was that my sister?
That was your sister.
Okay. Well, let's give her a shout out, Joe Vadillo. But, for sure, it is such a complex thing, especially if it's your first time. I think for even a lot of seasoned investors, seasoned buyers, there's stuff that, because you don't do it that frequently, that you're always going to forget. Now, Emily, before we get into it, is this also going to be on YouTube?
Yes.
So people that are joining us on YouTube will see that I've got my hands filled with a very small dog. He's about 2 kilos. So I do apologise. But to start us off, Emily, you moved into your owner-occupier, your first property about 1.5 months ago.
Not even. Like 3 weeks.
3 weeks ago. You've been setting it up. You've been getting it ready for renos, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a sec. Give us quick insight. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Give us that few weeks lead-up story about the place that you decided on.
So, look, I think, the journey took us, plenty of weekends. We really took it really seriously. So, thanks to this podcast, I really understood that you got to be financially ready to be, a competition in that market. So you need to have your mortgage broker. You need to know how much you can borrow. You need to know how much your repayment's going to be and what's your budget and have a buffer. That's definitely something, we'll touch upon later down the road on that pod, but the buffer is so important. So once we had our finances ready and once we've passed the shock on knowing how much we spend every month, because you got to know that, we had that range of opportunities and we could have gone up to 1.1, which would have been the top end of our budget, which we didn't want to do. Again, you kind of want to have that buffer. So we explored multiple areas here in Sydney. We went down. Look, we were not set within a specific area. We were more in terms of what can we get for our money. And we had non-negotiable, which were having a 2-bedroom. Initially, we wanted 2-bathroom, but we had to give that up because we couldn't find something within good shape and our price range. So, again, compromising is the big market at the moment. So we went to visit like multiple areas. I think we visited over like 30 apartments, which is pretty much standard nowadays, I would say. Some were grabbed pretty fast, and we didn't even have a chance to look at the strata report. Like there was a place in Rosebery we really liked, duplex, really cool, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,003,000, which was still in our range. It was gone in less than 5 hours.
Wow.
Like we visited at 9:30 a.m. By 2 o'clock, the agent called me. He's like, "Hey, I've got an offer. Are you interested?"
Oh, it shows how hot the market is. You have to be ready to go, which is what you started off with. You have to know your limit. You have to have your broker ready. You have to have pre-approval.
Yes.
Man, if you're not at that level yet, you've got a lot of homework to do because you're not going to get a look in.
And look, the thing is, like, you can go and start looking at what you can get, and but until you know what's your borrowing power and what's your limits, there's no point.
Oh, it's always good to do the research.
It's good, but know what's your target range first, and then go on inspections, because it's gonna take you time to find something you really like. We visited so many, excuse my French, but so many crap. Like there's always something that didn't work for us, and that was a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like not every property is going to suit your needs. You need to find what suits you and, I don't know, your family or your lifestyle, or you and your partner if you're buying, as a couple, and make it future-proof. So have a little bit of a growth perspective, especially if you are going into a PPOR. If you're going for an investment property, look at what's needed within the area. Is it more family home that are needed? Is it more, apartment living? And then, use it as an investment property. For us, because we went down the owner-occupier route, we needed something that suits our needs.
Yeah.
And look,
with that, you raised like a really good point, and I know it's something that I still struggle with. In particular, if you go down the investment route and the owner-occupier route, they're actually two really, really, really different things.
Different.
And I remember when I first started my journey, and my wife and I were looking, and it's an example I always give. I've probably given on about 30 podcasts, but it's so good because we were looking at this place in Brisbane, 2, 3, maybe 3.5 years ago. And we're like, yeah, Brisbane's going to boom. It's a good market. What we want is an investment property that we'll one day move into. So you've come in and you've said you wanted two very different things. As you've touched on a lot in the past, Emily, when you've spoken about things like rent vesting, those markets which are primed for investor growth might not be markets that you personally want to live in. Those outer metro areas, those regional areas, these areas where they're doing, 10, 15, 20% growth every year, they're not necessarily areas you want to grow in. So if you're looking for an investment property, but hey, it's also a property I want to live in, you're limiting yourself because the areas that you want to live in might not actually be primed for growth at all. So you might be putting your eggs in one basket, and it's actually not going to be growing while you're investing in it because you want to move into it one day. They're very different things.
They're very, very different things. And that's, again, we've had a podcast with Rashmi Kumar here that explains really like setting your property goals. And if you haven't listened to that one, I definitely recommend you to go and have those goals very clear from the get-go. For us, I think, it comes down to education. I mean, in France, you go live in your house, the house you buy. Rent vesting is not something that is very popular there. So education-wise, we've been brought up in living, you got to own your own property eventually. You can then become a landlord, but the property, the first one you buy is the one you're going to live in, at least for a moment of time.
Yeah.
And then we were sick of paying someone else's mortgage. Come on, we were paying a big rent in King's Cross, which is, again, an amazing area to live in.
It's a great part of France.
Oh,
yeah. And for those not in Sydney, there are a fair few French people in King's Cross, in the east. Yeah,
which is also a good reason for us to leave. To be honest, I love my people, can't hear them speak.
Well, are you comfortable with telling the audience where you did move?
We moved to Drummoyne.
You moved to Drummoyne, and you went to Ferragosto down in Five
Docks.
Great North Road. For those of you who know Five Dock, Haberfield, Drummoyne, big Italian community. Emily is half Italian.
Yes,
so
my
she moved
people.
from Little France to Little Italy.
Which, amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we did visit a house in Lake Arts, literally in Little Italy Square.
Literally. I remember you telling me about that. Yeah.
It was cute.
That was cheap. What was the problem with it again?
Oh my God, it was just on the flight path, but like really, really close to it.
All of Leichhardt is,
Yeah, but like because you were on the top floor, like honestly the plane where like you felt like the plane was like 5 meters away.
Yeah.
Even with double glazed window, you had the plane in
And
your living
not
room.
as much in Drummoyne.
We have them, but we have look, we're still on a simple glazed window.
Yeah.
So once we switch that to double glaze, I think the noise will reduce.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So you still hear it, but not as much. I mean, all the inner west, you've got the flight pass.
Mate,
you can't do anything. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get away from it. I remember I went to my nephew's football match down at Leichhardt Oval, and I used to live in the inner west, and I moved during COVID, and it's the first time I've heard a plane in ages, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
so I know what you mean. Yeah,
but you get used to it. Look,
You
I
do,
mean,
you
at the end
do,
of the day,
yeah.
I lived in King's Cross, where like you've got the sirens like all the times.
True.
You know, like it's very noisy. It's it's King's Cross. You
Yeah.
know, we got used to it. We're gonna get
sure.
used to the plane. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, we visited so many places. We spent a very fair time in all the Zetland, Rosebery, Green Square areas also. Until I realized that, man, I can't deal with that many people around me.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
you've got all those big blocks buildings, which honestly, they're like move-in ready. But man, the vis-a-vis, like peeking into your neighbor's, kitchen by just turning around, around,
sure, yeah.
and them having like look into your property, I can't deal with that.
Yeah, and I think this is pretty good. It's something that you and I have spoken at length, both in the office, but also, I don't know if we've actually touched on it in this particular podcast. I'm sure we would have, but in terms of some of the new builds, it's always really important to remember 2023, the Strata Community Association of New South Wales and the New South Wales government jointly released that report where there were 53% of new build apartments had quote unquote major structural defects within 6 years. So if it's 53% detected within 6 years, well, after 7, 8, 9, 10, you'd expect it to be a lot more than 53,
Yeah.
right? So then you're going to say, well, it's going to get a lot more than 53%. But what about the minor defects that you as a strata payer, remember, if you're buying a townhouse, a lot of townhouses, not all of them, but a lot of townhouses, if you're buying apartments, you've got to pay into strata. You don't get it for free. This is going to be coming out of your back pocket. And one thing to keep in mind for a lot of your listeners, Emily, is that what a lot of developers do, and don't sue me. I'm sure
Cut corners.
I know they
I'll
cut corners.
do it.
But what they do is they leave enough money in the kitty, and then they artificially lower your strata repayments.
Yeah.
So what you were doing as a first time buyer, you go around, this place is sick. Okay, what's strata? It's $900 a quarter. Well, that's really good because the other place down the road is $2,500. But then suddenly that kitty that you've got dries up real quick when you're in a big building. Think of all the maintenance that building needs. It dries up quick. And then suddenly your $900 quarter strata repayments go to $3,500. It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And look, that was also a key criteria for us and a deal breaker.
Yeah.
We really wanted low strata. And that's, honestly, like, put us out of a lot of places. There were a lot of great places where strata was so high. And you got to factor those costs. And we didn't want to take that on. So we, as a key consideration for the place we wanted to buy, we needed to have low strata.
Yeah.
When I mean low strata, we were looking at max 1,800,
Yeah.
which was high for us already. So we wanted lower than that.
Yeah.
Which is good. Now, be careful. When you look at the strata, they don't always include the GST. And we found that.
Wow.
Yes. So the strata we have now, when we got the bill, we were like, oh, why is it $100 more? Well, the GST
You know,
wasn't.
I didn't even.
Yep.
I've always just blindly paid Strata. I didn't even realise they
Yeah.
had GST.
Yeah, they do.
Wow.
So
That's cheeky.
that is very cheeky. So
Yeah.
just add an extra 100 on the top of what you're
And
seeing.
that goes back to what you were saying before. The buffer that you have to build in. So you were I think it's fair to say you and your fiancé, Chris.
Yay.
Yeah, you also got engaged.
Hallelujah.
It's
Like
all coming
everything in one
together.
month, yeah?
Everything in 1 month. You guys were, I guess your philosophy was not risk averse. You were planning for a lot of situations, which were the new builds, the strata. You were looking ahead as to, in a few years, we don't want to be left holding a big bill. How did you manage that? Did you look at more established places? You looked in areas where you had older apartments? What was your strategy?
So first of all, I want to thank the guests we've had on this podcast because they taught me that. They taught me what to look for. They taught me how to negotiate. They told me how to speak to agent. They told me how to build those relationships, which, we've touched upon on all the other episodes in length. So I'm not gonna go into too much details, but like go back, listen from the get-go. They're not like that long of episodes, but build your knowledge from there. I think what we were looking at is anything after 2015, we didn't go for it. Then
You just blankly cut it out.
I cut it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and that's the thing. Sometimes they're cheeky on the listing. They don't put the dates.
Yeah.
They don't put the building construction year, and then you go there, and then you find out it's 2019, and you're like, oh my god, I wasted my time.
Yeah.
Then we wasted, at the beginning, we wasted also sometimes in terms of square meters because we ended up going to see some places that were too small for us. So then we checked square meters. We knew we wanted something pretty big because we made the mistake that the last apartment we rented was a castle. So it was mad big. So then going back to a shoebox was like, no way.
Out of the question.
Yeah. So then we looked at square meters, which also reduced. So then you get like a little bit more selective because once you've spent like 8 weekends, like 8 Saturdays running around, like a headless chicken from one property to another, you kind of want to be more selective because it's tiring.
Yeah.
It is super tiring. And like, at one stage I was like, almost I'm going to get defeated because, man, we're never going to find anything. And look, we were not too set on areas. And Chris is going to be so happy. I'll give him the credit. He found the place. Yeah. So I told him, I'm like, babe, like, come on, you're not doing anything. Like, I'm the one handling everything. Like, just do something. And then he's like, okay. So he really like picked up his game. And like, I think he got like a little bit vexed that I said that. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to prove her wrong.
Yeah. And he found the place.
And now when you tell him, he's like, yeah, I'm the one who found it.
So did you ever consider Drummoyne before?
No.
So
Look,
it wasn't, yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't an area that I wanted something on the train line.
Yeah. That's right, you did, yes. Yeah.
I wanted something on the train line, and then we realized that the closer you are to the train line, the more expensive it is.
Yeah.
And then you get in those like very busy neighborhood, like we would have loved Newtown, so expensive outside of our range. Zetland, Rosebery, Green Square, too many people at the end of the day, too much big blocks, not working. King's Cross, love it, way outside of my pocket.
Yeah.
So, within that city circle thing, without going too far away, because you still wanted to stay close to your friends and your habits. I mean, we still go to King's Cross. Like, we've moved 3 weeks ago. We've been to King's Cross twice already.
Yeah.
It's, it's the hood.
Yeah.
But, so we still wanted to stay, within the area, kind of close to the city, very convenient to go to work. And then Drummoyne, at the end of the day, the bus stop is it's literally in front of the house, of the apartment. So very convenient to take the bus. The 550X, with traffic, I'm there in like 20 minutes. Without traffic, it's 10 minutes to Town Hall. Very easy. If I walk 10 minutes, there's a ferry that takes me to Barongaru in like 10 minutes. I mean, it's quite convenient. I'm not a huge bus fan. I'll live up to it. Like it's, you make compromise.
But I think a lot of people are happy to be ferry people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but it's quite expensive.
Is that? I've always just tapped and never looked.
Yeah, well, it's quite expensive. When you've got a mortgage, you've got to be careful.
Do you, in Tremoyne, do you have those little ferries? They've got
Yeah,
those little,
yeah.
they're really small ones.
They're quite small. Yeah,
They're tiny.
They're
it's
tiny,
really funny.
but it's
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, they're very
It's cute.
cute.
So
Yeah.
if it's sunny I mean, if it's sunny, I'll take the ferry.
Yeah, for sure.
But in terms of like pricing, the ferry is quite expensive to us compared to the bus.
Yeah. Now, that leads into the next good topic, which is having that buffer.
Yes.
Because I know, and this is something that a lot of people, you might fob off a little bit. Not you personally, just a lot of people in their first home buyer journey, because it's not lost on either of us that price of property is super expensive. It is super expensive.
Yeah.
So really, you get to that level where every $1,000 matters. Where if you're like, oh, okay, cool, an extra $1,000 gets me, I don't know, an extra 20K borrowing capacity. I don't know, I'm just plucking numbers. So you're like, well, if I can put the extra 10 down, I can do this, I can do that. But you do need to leave yourself with a buffer in case things go wrong. And building and pest, those inspections, those reports that you have to do so you're not buying a dud. They can only tell you so much, because what happened within, I think, about a week and a half of you moving in, what happened?
My hot water tank died.
Just stopped working overnight. Just
On my birthday.
on your, it was,
On
wasn't
my
it?
birthday.
So what happened? You went home, or was it in the morning, or what? How did it work?
I actually came here.
Yeah.
I came to work, and my good friend came to surprise me from Bali, and she flew in for my birthday, and I didn't know. And so I, around midday, I ended up going back home to finish the afternoon finish working here from, in the afternoon from home. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I left in the morning, and there was like a weird noise in the laundry room where the hot water tank is. And I told Chris, I was like, Yeah, it was, yeah. And I was like, I told Chris, it's like, it's weird, like the noise is weird, like, and he's like, yeah, it's just the pipes. Okay, sure. Then, finished work, went, like to Kmart, like going a little bit of shopping and stuff. And we were meant to like join each other, for dinner. Chris finished work and a little bit later than I. And then he's like, yeah, he calls me and he's like, yeah, the water is leaking. There's, water on the walls, like we didn't see, and like being a first time owner, you don't know those things, yeah?
Yeah, you're like, what the hell's going on?
So you just assume, and it was raining that day, so he's like, oh, maybe it's the rain that is, like, I don't know, I'm really not a manual person. I'm really bad with all of the things, and it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And so he called, the plumber, the emergency plumber, and nothing happens. Everything happens for a reason. We found those plumber numbers in the letterbox like 3 days before.
Oh, like little magnet
Yeah,
things.
we put it on the fridge, and we were like, oh, we never know.
Yeah.
So he called the plumber, and the plumber couldn't come, and he sent the pictures, and the plumber was super cool. He sent the pictures. He's like, mate, it's gonna blow out. It's gonna explode. You need to turn that off as soon as possible. We almost had a catastrophe where we would have been way worse. So we got very lucky in the end. Yes, it died, but it didn't explode.
Yeah. True.
But then we ended up having like no hot water for like 4 days.
Yeah.
And that's when things comes in, and he's like, the plumber was like, I can come tomorrow and give you like a fast, quick replacement just for the next 2 days for you to have hot water. And then, we come back on Monday or Tuesday and fix the whole thing. I'm like, okay, how much is that going to cost? And it's like, 400 squid. I'm like, yeah, no, I'll boil some water. Because you know that the hot water tank is already going to cost you around $2,000, or at least that's what we were expecting. So you add another 300.
Yeah.
Look, the place we bought needs renovation. So we bought into an older build. It's a nice place. It's high ceiling. It's sun-drenched, which was one of the criteria we wanted. But it's old.
Yeah.
So carpet is disgusting. The kitchen is falling apart. And the bathroom isn't functional. So we've got those big reno coming up, which are the most costly one. But we did budget for that because we paid less than our max.
Yes. Yep.
But I didn't budget for an extra 4 or 5K water tank, repair within 10 days.
Yeah.
So, first quotes we got was 4K.
4K. That's insane.
Yeah, and that's my next tip. Get multiple quotes.
100%.
Always.
Yep.
And then we had another guy come in, and he was like, we can just change the minimum and make it work like this. your pipes, yes, they could be changed, but it's copper. It works.
They'd be more or less okay.
So we ended up paying 1,700, which was, more in the range that we were expecting.
The ballpark, yeah.
But if we didn't have that buffer, what do you do? I would be smelly by now.
Yeah, or just get an Anytime Fitness membership and then just be showering at the gym or something. Like,
yeah.
What else do you do? But it is so timely because hot water, it could be way worse.
It could be way worse.
It could be way worse. There could be so many more fundamental problems that go on, especially with the new builds that we've spoken about, cracks. But also, if you do go into an old place, my folks used to live in an apartment, and the tiles broke on the ceiling for whatever reason, on the roof rather, and for months and months and months, unbeknownst to anyone, there was a huge leak, and it destroyed just the whole cavity up under the roof. And it was, it was quite a big apartment building. I think it was like, in their side of the apartment building, it was like maybe 12 plus units. Not big, but big-ish. And for each unit, it still came to $25,000 repair costs. Don't necessarily think that because there are 20 other people there that it's going to dilute it that much. In my apartment building, I've spoken about it before. In my apartment building, we had emergency works on a telegraph pole that was starting to fall over. And then the total of that came out to like $65,000 split between 6 units. It can add up super quick. So lessons there, make sure you have money in the back pocket. It's another episode that you've done in the past, and I know it's a big focus of yours. Check the strata reports. Make sure your strata's got money in the kitty.
And look, not only check the money, check what's gonna happen, and ask your agent some questions. So for us, when we bought this place, they were going to redo the roof. So the roof is gonna be replaced, and we negotiated that the previous owner pays for the roof repair. My friend, she just bought also, they had a special levy. She negotiated for the owner to pay that special levy because why would she pay for it? So you can always go into the negotiation process. And in saying this, we negotiated a shorter settlement period, which is the reason why we got the place. And that's a big shout out to your sister, Jo Vadilo, because she taught us that. Like settlement periods when investors can get their money back faster, they love it. And for us, worked really well because we needed to go overseas. We wanted to have done the move beforehand. So it worked really well. And that's, the agent told us that was the reason why we got the place.
You don't want to be enjoying a pass through in beautiful Rome and then look at your phone and then realise there's 40 missed emails and forms that you have to fill in from your broker and from your conveyancer. You want to get it done. And that's worked really well. But that's also something. Sometimes, more money isn't always the answer. A shorter turnover can actually get you that place if you have done your due diligence first, okay? Check your strata and check your building inspection before waiving those, cooling off periods. And then check the minutes of the strata report as well.
100%.
There might be upcoming works. And so you might look at the strata report and say, fantastic, it's got 100K in the kitty, that's awesome. But if you didn't read the minutes of the previous meeting, ask for the minutes of the previous meeting. Because unbeknownst to you, they might have literally just approved an 85K roof repair, which now leaves you with 10, 15 in the kitty. And if you've got a big place, 10, 15 in the kitty can evaporate very quickly. Look at the minutes. And in terms of the settlement, if it's pre-settlement, if there's a debt pre-settlement, it's on the other person.
Yep.
It's on the person before. If it's after settlement, it's on you. Remember that. And this is something that, you and I have said a lot, which is, when you're working with brokers, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to trial a few people. Don't be afraid to stick up for yourself when it comes to these bills.
Also, your brokers is there for you.
Yeah.
So your brokers should answer to your question. Otherwise, it's not a good broker. Change broker. And our broker was fantastic. She really helped us. Like, we kept on calling her, like, panicking and stuff, because you don't know those things. And it's very stressful. And the moment you need to send the money, oh my goodness. It's panicky.
Did you drip feed the money, or did you transfer it all in one go?
No. I did it in bit by bit.
Increments, yeah.
Like, I couldn't. I physically couldn't see that big chunk
How small were your increments?
I think I went like on 25 or 30K.
That's actually quite big.
Well, I needed to do it on time because we needed to do it fast.
Yeah, I think I was like drip feeding it like 5K increments. So basically, for everyone who's not done their property journey, that they're looking to like learn more, you'll have a mortgage account that your broker will set up for you. So say your broker comes back and they're like, or NAB's got the best rates for you, or Commonwealth, whoever it is, got the best rates for you. They set up your account. There's an account there which is basically like a checkings account, which they'll end up taking all the money from. But say you're with St George or whatever, you've got to get your money from St George into that new NAB account that your broker set up for you. And if you've saved a couple $100,000, it's really daunting transferring that much money.
So the first time I tried with 1,000 just to make sure I had the right account number.
I do $1 increments. Every time I transfer, I do a $1 transfer, and then I do a big one.
Just to double check.
And I've got the notifications set up.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I have notifications on all my accounts set up so I can transfer the dollar, and it'll be like dollar received, and I'm like, okay, cool, then big transfer.
Honestly, you don't realize how stressful that is.
100%.
It is so stressful.
But, and for good reasons as well. Actually, and there is a few good lessons here for our first property buyers, which is scams and cybersecurity in this industry is rife. There was an example, maybe about a year and a half ago, there was an example of a conveyancer that got hacked. Well, I don't know if they got hacked as much as they got spoofed. They must have been hacked in a way, because clients of this conveyancer, they were clients of this conveyancer, so the lawyer, the solicitor that helps you out on the process, clients got sent an email which was identical to the email of the solicitor. But on the email, which was written perfectly, it had the perfect email signature, it had the perfect domain, it had the perfect URL. It read like it was 100% legitimate. No one questioned it. Though the bank accounts, the account and the BSB were different of where they needed to transfer the money. And this couple lost their 10% deposit, which is why, my wife and I, whenever we're doing anything in the property game, we always call up the agent first. Always call up the agent, double check their numbers with the numbers you've been given, because we hear it all the time that, these people get hacked and then suddenly first property buyers or people downsizing, upsizing, they're suddenly left holding the bill because, mate, if you transfer your 10% deposit to the wrong account, it's on you. It's not on anyone else.
Yeah, and that was something that we were really scared of, to be honest. So Chris did the first transfer to the conveyancer. So I was like, oh my God, call them, double check the numbers, do it over the phone with them, make sure it's the right people, because I was, working in property, you get very aware of all
the stuff
that happens more than if you were not working here. But double check the numbers, double check, call people, make sure, everything is in order, I would say.
Yeah. And to round us out, you're going into renovations at the moment.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? What are you looking at?
So, look, it's... the apartment is nice. It has a lot of potential. We are very excited about it. But it definitely does need reno. So the carpet is ancient. There's a hole in it. It smells, to be honest.
Oh, that's all right. My house doesn't.
So flooring is definitely going to be a big change. Definitely one of the top priority. But also bathroom and kitchen.
So quite big.
It's a big reno. So that's where we're heading to. So the issue with reno, especially as a first-home buyer, is we don't know many people.
Yeah.
And we don't know much about renovation. So that's the new learning curve for us. So looking at builders at the moment, looking at different quotes, looking at seeing if, we're going for like a custom-made kitchen or if we're going towards something that is more flat pack to save cost. So that property that we bought is our first property. And I kind of want to remind the listeners, your first property is not your forever house. It's not your forever home. It's your first step in the game.
Yep.
So what we wanted to do when we bought that property is, yes, finding a nice place for us to live now that suited our needs now and our growing needs for the next 5 to 10 years. But then eventually, I kind of want to live in a house, where the market is going to be in 10 years, I don't know. So we'll see that when the time comes. So when we bought that house, our goal was to find a place where we could, live for the next 5 to 10 years, make it a little bit future-proof in terms of where we were going to be in that perspective.
Yeah.
But where the market is going to be in 10 years, I don't know.
And if you can hear growling, I don't know how often we can edit that out. There is a dog in this room, as we said before,
He's very cute, so check him on YouTube, yeah?
He's very cute. He's
The apartment we chose was to suit our needs now and within the next, 5 to 10 years-ish max. Your first home is not your forever home, and we're very aware of that. So when it comes to reno right now, the dilemma we're facing is how much we're going to spend in that reno. So because we didn't go up to our 1.1, we still have some money left. We've got enough money to do the renovation. Do we want to go to the top end of our budget? Not really. Again, you go back to that buffer thing. If I go to the top end of my budget, I don't have any buffer anymore.
Yep.
What's happening if when we redo the bathroom and everything underneath is moist and moldy and I have to redo everything? And that's something you need to be really aware of.
100%.
There's always things that go wrong in a renovation. Now,
renos always cost more than you think.
Always.
Always.
So,
yeah.
Going to the top, not really working. The only issue that we've got is we're not manual people. So we don't know how reno works. So you kind of want to have a builder/project manager to do that for you.
Yep.
And, to learn as you go. That costs more money.
Yep.
So now we're going to look at, are we going to do a custom-made kitchen, knowing that, in 5 to 10 years, we are going to rent that place. I don't know. And that's the dilemma we are going at. So I guess, we'll have another episode, when the reno is finished to give you my insights. But, it's a lot of questions. And now we're going through, quotes and, it's another part of that property journey that you now you go to the shops and you're looking at the different, kitchen, bathroom, how much it costs, Excel spreadsheets and stuff like this. We're doing plans because, builder wants the plans. They want the Pinterest, inspo also. So it's, again, going through something that is a mid-range, like the apartment we took. We didn't want something high-end, something mid-range to suit our first property buyer title in a way. And then, once we have, again, more money, the equity's been built, hopefully we can be able to buy a house in the future. For sure.
And I think the lessons, though, while you're on that renovating journey, while you're learning, the lessons are, as you've already unpacked, it costs more than you think.
Yeah.
Don't do it yourself. Because, it's so easy. So many people, I think it's an Australian thing, so many Aussies think that they've got these tradie genes. It actually doesn't. It's actually not the case. You and I work in property. We write about property. We podcast about property. And you and I probably have about 40 or 50 different case studies of where people went real wrong with renos because they overstated their ability. Also, you're more likely to cause damage. So to your point before, especially when it comes to bathrooms, all it takes is some, incorrectly applied caulk or sealant or something, and you can potentially cause a really catastrophic leak and destroy the ceiling of the apartment below you and rot through the timber. That stuff does happen. I'm not a tradie either, but I've seen it.
And also, when you think about reselling down in the future, then, those building and pest inspection report, they're going to pick up on that.
Oh, we've spoken about this guy, that site inspection dude with his moisture in it, not compliant. Compliant.
Yeah. So, it's another beginning of the second part of my journey as a property owner.
Yep.
So it's not because you've bought that property that journey ends. It's actually the new chapter that begins.
Yep.
At the end of the day, repairs and maintenance, you can't call your agent and your landlord to fix things anymore.
That's true.
Because you are the owner. And repair, they go a long way. Do not wait for things to break, because it's going to cost you more down the line. Fixing a leaky tap is going to cost you, 100, 150? Replacing the old pipe and the water tank, $4K.
Yeah.
So, just fix things when they happen, because it's your place. Whether you are doing an owner-occupier or a rent-vesting, it is your place. So
treat your asset with some respect.
Yeah, and look, the more you take care of it, the longer it lasts. So, Well, Liam, thank you so much for doing the role of the interviewer today.
Thank you.
And look, it's not because I bought my first property that the first property buyer show stops there. We've got plenty more insight for first home buyers as the market evolves. So we'll be there with you as usual for every step of the way during your property journey. Next episode's coming up very, very soon. In the meantime, bye for now.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.